Today, we're going to talk about a case from India that's so much more than a murder story. It's really a story about a long, difficult battle for justice, and one that highlighted the terrifying dangers of ignoring stalking and harassment.
You see, this case became a real landmark moment. It put the entire Indian legal system to the test. It sparked massive public outrage, and it completely changed the conversation around women's safety.
So, at the very heart of this story, you have two people whose lives intersected at Delhi University. One had a future that was full of promise, and the other, well, the other was a predator who was about to shatter it all.
Let's start with Priyadarshini Mattoo. She was a bright, confident young woman, studying law at Delhi University, just building her future. She just wanted to live her life. It's so important to remember the real person at the center of this.
But her life took a really dark turn because of one of her seniors, a man named Santosh Singh. He became the source of an absolute nightmare that would end in the most tragic way you can imagine.
And look, this wasn't some simple misunderstanding or a single event. It was a clear, escalating pattern. It started with just unwanted attention, him following her around. Then he started trying to forcefully make contact, even though she made it clear she wasn't interested. Priyadarshini said no over and over again, but he just wouldn't take no for an answer. This wasn't some harmless crush. It was turning into a very dangerous obsession.
And here's where the story gets, if it's even possible, even more heartbreaking. Priyadarshini wasn't suffering in silence. She cried out for help, again and again. But those cries were pretty much ignored by the very system that should have been protecting her.
I mean, just look at this. Priyadarshini filed multiple police complaints. Her family members went to the authorities, raising serious concerns, but the case just wasn't treated with the seriousness it demanded. So why? Well, reports suggest Santosh Singh came from a powerful family. His father was a high-ranking police official, and that connection seemed to make him untouchable. Her complaints were brushed aside, and that inaction basically sent him a clear message: you're above the law.
The system had so many chances to step in. All the warning signs were there. I mean, they were flashing bright red, but they were completely ignored. And that might be the most tragic part of this whole story, even before the crime itself happened.
So this massive systemic failure, it basically set the stage for the unthinkable. It led to a horrific crime and a legal battle that was, frankly, shocking. On January 23, 1996, Priyadarshini was home alone in Delhi. That's when Santosh Singh forced his way inside her house. He brutally attacked and then murdered her. The police were eventually called when her family couldn't get in touch with her, and they walked into a horrifying crime scene.
Right away, the investigation zeroed in on Santosh Singh. I mean, the evidence wasn't subtle. You had eyewitnesses, his very clear pattern of stalking, and this long history of harassment. Everything pointed in one direction. He was the obvious suspect.
So you've got this mountain of evidence, right? Eyewitnesses, a clear motive, all the stalking history. It should have been a straightforward case. And yet, in a decision that just sent shockwaves across the country, the trial court acquitted Santosh Singh. They said he deserved the benefit of the doubt because of some procedural mistakes by the police. Yep, the same police force where his father was a big shot. To the public, this felt like a total derailment of justice, a system protecting its own. That verdict was a devastating blow, for sure, but it wasn't the end of the story. For Priyadarshini's family, the fight was far from over. Their resilience is really what turned the tide in this long, long battle.
Can you even imagine? Despite all their grief, Priyadarshini's family just refused to give up. They did what must have felt impossible. They challenged that acquittal and took their case to the Delhi High Court, determined to keep fighting for their daughter.
And this is where the wheels of justice finally, slowly, started to turn again. The High Court did a complete reevaluation of the entire case. They went through every single piece of evidence that the lower court had dismissed, the circumstances, that undeniable pattern of stalking, and all the forensic reports. And finally, justice was served. The High Court overturned the acquittal and found Santosh Singh guilty. He was initially given the death penalty, which was later changed to life in prison. But that verdict sent a powerful message. Justice can be delayed, but eventually the truth does come out.
So after all of that, what's the takeaway? The Priyadarshini Mattoo case left behind a powerful legacy, and it leaves us with a really profound and kind of haunting question.
If there is one single, crucial lesson we have to learn from this tragedy, it is this: stalking is not a compliment. It is not normal attention. It's not some harmless crush. This case proved with absolute finality that stalking is a clear,
unmistakable warning sign of potential violence. It's a precursor to a future crime.
At the end of the day, this case taught society some incredibly important lessons. That you have to take every single complaint of harassment seriously. That our systems have to be built to protect victims, not dismiss them. That ignoring these warning signs can have and does have fatal consequences. And that as a society, we just have to do better at prioritizing the safety of women.
And so, we're left with a question that still hangs in the air even decades later. It's a question that gets to the very heart of this preventable tragedy. If the authorities had just listened, if they had acted on her complaints when they had the chance, would Priyadarshini Mattoo still be alive today?